Good afternoon, and I hope you're doing very well in the world wherever you are today. My name is Naomi Brown, and I am a business owner, transformative coach, and business consultant. Now, in light of the global movement that we find ourselves in during and post COVID times, we find ourselves pushing towards more equality for women globally and internationally. And I'm very, very happy and proud to speak today to a very special man in particular, who's pioneering the way for women in terms of equality and diversity and inclusion for us as women. So I'm very happy today to speak to Shaukat Ahmad. Now, Shaukat is based in Dubai, but he is a global leader within a business, coaching and education around sales administration and empowerment and leadership for women. Shaukat is also a certified innovator through Boston College within Dubai as well. So hello, Shaukat. It is lovely to speak with you.
Lovely to talk to you, Naomi. How are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm all good. Thank you. It's a pleasure having you. And thank you for giving me your time.
So when I read your accolade, I was just really inspired, as a man, that you are taking this stance going forward to support and empower women. So can you just tell the audience a little bit about what it is that you do to achieve this?
Well, it's a tricky question, believe me, and a lot of people get to ask me about. I mean, you being a man, getting into women empowerment. It's like you are eating a sausage with vanilla. I mean, it's a mismatch.
Yeah.
So. A little bit about my background. I come from a very conservative background, come from Kashmir, and living in a very limited environment.
Yeah.
I did my first work in 2001, and we started our own small educational institute in the town where I belong. And this educational was something which literally was, I think it was in my genes. I kind of liked the perspective of it, and then the kind of a knack of it. So I think education is pretty much important. It's not just getting the degrees; it's like educating yourself. And then I grew in an environment where we have this males and females and standards and stuff like that. When I got married, I was very young. I was like 22. Very unplanned marriage, very unplanned. So there was a lot of surprises coming to me. And then I started noticing my wife, she's a doctor, my mother, I used to notice them doing stuff, household chores and stuff like that. It took me a long time to realize that what basically are they doing and what are we as men doing? So there were the activities, small, minor things. I noticed in my mother, my sister, my wife, the women working around in my company. We had the company I worked in, we had initially like 100 employees and 60 were females. So it was a noticeable thing for me to see what's happening around it. And one day I was sitting, before I came to Dubai in 2014, and one day I was sitting and then I realized that why do they go to this segment? I did a couple of leadership training programs before. It was a joint males and females, and then it kind of was a wake up call for me. Honestly, I noticed even in the UAE, we have a very different impression about the Arab country. When I went to the ministry, the government departments, I see females all over females. I mean, there is not the impression what we have outside UAE that Arab women are being kind of tortured, being oppressed or something, being forced to do things which they don't want to do against their will. But it was not like that. I think females were already all over. Maybe we didn't notice them. And I feel honestly proud that I did notice and I took an initiative and I started the call. I took a right call, a right decision at the right time, and I thought, no, this is something which I really want to do. And then I started. My company was already registered a long back, and I kind of moved from leadership in general to women empowerment, gender equality, women leadership. I see things in a different way. So I kind of had to follow my intuitions. That's how I got into it.
Absolutely. And you touched upon there that you know, have had a very kind of diverse and varied life, you know, from starting life in Kashmir to, you know, ending up in Dubai and having, you know, multiple companies. So you said that you noticed cultures within kind of women and equality. So what kind of things did you notice?
Well, for example, it's a very small thing. You know, when you go when you do a certain type of discovery or invention, you just need a dot to start with. You don't need to go to the university, or you don't need to educate and load yourself with knowledge to become something what you are. You just need a, you know, we call it as a kickstart, right? I was noticing my wife. I literally pushed her initially to have a you know, a servant at home who can do the daily chores and stuff. She was not happy. Basically, it's her who literally, she doesn't know that she pulled me into this. She doesn't know, but she did indirectly. So I started noticing things in her. She wakes up 4:30. She makes a breakfast. She goes to hospital. She comes back. She does things, and this was the first thing. It was in my mind. And like I said, when I moved to Dubai, and I see females on the counters in the bank, in the government institutions, females serve more than men. They are busy, they engage people. Maybe this is a natural instinct, this is a natural thing they have. And like I said, maybe we never noticed it was there from the beginning. We never noticed. And then these were small, very small things which I noticed, and I was like, okay, there is something we are missing in our society. So that's what made me to go, you know, for this idea, honestly.
I think it's definitely humbling and very nice and empowering to hear, you know, from a man that has, you know, such vision to look at kind of equality, you know, outside the box. We do assume sometimes as women, you know, that, you know, all men are out to get us, or, you know, all things are quite bad in the world. And certainly in the UK recently, we've had quite a lot of spate of severe, you know, abuse and you know, and even murder, you know, at the hands of men, which of course then tarnishes that all men are, you know, are so and so. But you know, not all men are bad, not all men are evil. And I think it's certainly, how do we effectively market that and raise awareness around it on a global platform? But
I agree.
I think as well, you know, when we look back to, you know, days gone by, you know, 1900s, 1800s, women have always been in the background because it's been that term, you know, the man's world. So as we go forward and to this kind of present day and further field, what do you feel internationally can be done for women to promote further equality and essentially our safety and our well-being?
Well, it's a global issue we are facing when it comes to getting to that standard, giving the equality to women at an international standard. There are, like I said, there are sometimes very minute and very small things which we need to do, and we ought to perform to get things in a sorted order. You know, if you ask me personally that what should be done, what can we do to get at that stage where we kind of spread that awareness at an international level, in terms of you know, giving that woman that right, irrespective of the religion, culture, anything about that. I'm not going to discuss about the culture. Culture plays a vital role. Like I said, I come from a background where if a female wear jeans, we pass comments. You know, I come from that kind of background. So I think there was very small things like, if you ask me what to do, I'll say talk to women and girls. Just talk to them. Okay. There are many things. A fundamental reason we have not yet achieved, like gender equality in every realm, is that women and girls' voice are too often excluded from the global and national decision making. So we have a mindset. You know, I'm a man. I'm a decision maker. I'm the bread earner. So I am here to take the decision. This is a very common thing which we have in our mind, and I don't go with this thing. Okay. So when it comes to the national decision making or the global decision making, I think we should talk to women. That's the first thing I would want to do. And the second, then we should design some programs and policies for them in terms of what and what not should be spoken or should be done to get them in the limelight, to keep them in the frame.
Yeah.
Okay, there has to be some programs and policies which should be structured, conceptualized for them. Like I said, very small thing. Maybe there are industries and companies, they have it, they don't do it, they don't imply it, they don't think it's necessary to do it, right? Yeah. So that's basically. I'll tell you. I'm from a place which is connected with India, and the Indian mindset we have is like, there are a lot of people, a lot of states where the girls are not allowed to use the technology in terms of mobile phones, laptops, and other stuff. We keep them in the cage. It's not the whole thing. There are so many countries, so many different kind of mindsets.
Absolutely.
I think we need to open that thing. We need to, little bit go think two steps further, and that's something which is very important. And also, when it comes to education, we need to make education gender sensitive. That is very important for us. There has been much progress in increasing access to education, but the progress has been slow in improving the gender sensitivity in the education system I'm talking about. Like I said, when I was in education, I have been into education field from Boston for about 19 years, and it's a huge gap. And education is something which we have been taking very, I would say non-seriously. I'm not sure if non-seriously is a word. We're taking really lightly. Yeah. Okay, it's a very common thing which we have been discussing on, and it's something which we need to be sure about, that how to improvise and how to implement such kind of things. And I mean, there are some certain rules and certain norms which we can still imply. We can talk about empowering mothers.
Yeah.
For example, you have a daughter. When we empower a woman, when we give her what she does, for example, you might have heard about Afghanistan, one of the most conservative places we can overheard through the media. In Afghanistan, I was recently reading an article that there have been a great moves to increase the number of girls going through formal education, through providing schools for girls in every district. So what happens is, when you empower mothers, that mother has a daughter, so she's going to empower a daughter. It's going to be copy-paste. She's going to do copy-paste. She's going to put the same thing in her daughter. So if you want to generally, it's not just we have females around us or at a workplace. Yeah. There is enormous work needed, and which can be done. And which is very important point, that by 2050, there will be 18% growth in the jobs. 18%. Now, let's say it's 7% when it comes to females, but as per the latest research, it's going to be 18% by 2050, and 80% of those jobs will be taken by women. It's the latest research.
So absolutely. I mean, when we look at business and, and that extension to our personal lives, we need to cover all areas, not just at top level through media or, through doing this, by starting, right at the bottom, by, like you say, speaking to women. What is it that we need to feel safe, to feel empowered, to have our potential raised, to be all they can? And you touched upon there as well, education. Education is so important. So I had recently done a research project into the UK around domestic violence and the forms that took. And the highest age group of this was our kind of 18 to 24 year olds. So, we need to, start discussing with them, what it is to be safe. But I agree with you and what you say about this gender neutralization of education, because there isn't a one size fits all. We need to raise awareness to our sons that it's okay for our daughters to wear jeans without thinking that they should be raped for that. And then vice versa. It's important that we teach our daughters not all men are bad, and, to be aware, to feel safe, and to recognize triggers and indicators around safety, but to look for that common ground. And I agree with you in what you said there in relation to our mothers, you know, ensuring that they're empowered, that they're supported. And
it's a very important, it's a very important part when
level.
It comes to mothers, exactly.
And then, you know, and then finally, you know, as we work our way up the hierarchy, you know, at local level, you know, of our governments to international level, there does need to be some sort of integration. But, you know, with so many socio-economic factors going on in the world, it's almost, and I don't know if you'd agree, that sometimes this doesn't take precedence in the global stage at this current moment.
It doesn't. Yes, it doesn't. Like I said, there are so many points you can add, and so many things that can be done to rectify the errors and to put things in place. Yeah, all I say is that if we just stick to the basic, we don't need to go through any university. We don't need to have a PhD degree to understand the basic. So sometimes, you know, rightly said that common sense is not so common. If we stick to the common, if we stick to the basic, and I think these things are very easy. I have a daughter. Okay, she's now 13, and I understand her movements without even she tells me anything. I have given her a freedom where I know what limit, up to what limit she can go, up to what limit she cannot go. I don't instruct. I have not set a rule book for her. Mm-hmm. So there is a language, a parental language you have. Mm-hmm. There is a different language. A parent knows how to communicate with my children without opening my mouth, without even slapping my child, without putting restriction on my daughter or my wife or my mother or my sister. There's always a language. You have a language with your mother. You have a language, a body sign with your sister. You have a body language with your wife. I think we need to use those signs. Absolutely. So that she understands you, you understand them. I think things are going to be much easier that way.
Absolutely. I love that. And I think it's really important for our listeners to take that on. You know, as men, as women, it's about boundaries and having effective comprehension communication. I think comprehension tops communication, because if we can communicate till we're blue in the face, but if we don't comprehend it, then it's lost.
It's of no use.
My final question for you, Shaukat, going forward this year, what is your mission and vision as a man, as a business leader, as a coach? You know, what is your goals this year around this topic?
Well, I initiated a concept. It's called WOW, VOW, which is the Vision of Woman.
Yeah, I love this.
I started it in 2019, and it was really unfortunate. Like, you know, they say, man proposes, then God disposes. It was really unfortunate. The COVID came, and he didn't like the COVID. He didn't like my plans, screwed everything at a global level. I was supposed to launch this initiative in London. I registered my company in London in August 2019. That was the time when I wanted to launch this initiative. It's a vision of woman where I will be connecting the female entrepreneurs globally. Listening to them, their ideas. There are there are millions, maybe, women who have the brilliance, who have that charismatic passion. I would say that they want to die for that thing. They have it in them, and they're not able to reveal it. They're not able to express it. I wanted to create a platform basically for a woman globally. My kind of woman empowerment is not like this woman has a domestic issue, that woman has financial crisis. I can't handle everything. I need to be, I need to set up one standard. I am basically focusing on the women who are related, who are working, who are entrepreneurs, who have an idea that is beneficial for the society and for the nation. That's what I'm focusing on.
So can I ask, is it more like looking at kind of enterprise and sustainability within community to build, or is it more in a kind of corporate business sense?
No, it's going to be kind of a freelance. You don't need to get acquainted. Yeah, it's going to be, if you are an entrepreneur, you are an entrepreneur, it's a free slot. Yeah. Okay? There is no hardened rules where you need to fulfill certain criteria and have to be associated with any tag or any brand. It's not going to be that way. It's going to be easy. Anyone from anywhere in the world can get associated with us. So we're still thinking this year. I'm not sure what this year is bringing to us. I do have a project which I'm planning in July 14 and 15 in Dubai. It's going to be executive leadership and women empowerment in association with Boston College USA, the Global Leadership Institute. What I want to do is that I want the training programs to be designed based on the need, not what I know and what I can design. I don't want to do that. I want to create the program based on the requirement, based on the need. And then we give them certificates directly from the GLI, Global Leadership Institute of Boston College, and that adds a value to their profile. So if they have to get promotions, or they want to find a job, something like that, when you have a certificate from such a brand, exactly, so it adds a lot of value.
Oh, that sounds amazing. And as a female entrepreneur with an international business and
you're in the list. You're in the list.
I'm already sold on it.
You're in the list.
So if you've got any links or any information you want to provide over, send them over to me. It has been so lovely talking to you. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to pick your brain into a topic that I advocate against, and I'm with. I'm with for equality within the global kind of stands for women, and it's really assuring to hear a man's perspective